Your KitchenAid Professional 600 stand mixer has parts falling off. This part, known as a Planetary Assembly, falls down, rendering your KitchenAid stand mixer useless. We'll show you how to fix it. This applies to the Professional 600, Pro5 Plus, Professional HD, and Epicurean models. Get your mixer back to working like new for about 30 to 60 minutes of your time and about $60 in parts and supplies. Here are a list of tools you'll need for this job. You can buy factory-made planetary assemblies anywhere from $50 to $75 online. We paid $50 and we'll put a link to the seller below. When replacing this broken part, you'll need to remove the dirty grease and replace it with new food-grade grease and a new gasket. I found an awesome product for $10 on Amazon that combines a food-grade grease, gasket, and plastic scraper to pull out the old grease. The job is easy to do for almost anyone and can save you some serious money replacing your mixer, as a new KitchenAid stand mixer today runs around $400 to $500 and may not be made as well as these older units. I know personally we've used this mixer heavily for the last 19 years and this is the only problem we've come across, so we've decided to fix it instead of buy a replacement. In our video we will walk through the process to replace the planetary assembly, clean and service your machine, and get it running great again. Here is a factory diagram of the parts that we'll be working with. Throughout the video, we will use the terms found here, so feel free to come back to this graphic to reference for added confidence if needed. Okay, let's dive in and get to work fixing this KitchenAid stand mixer's planetary assembly. Take a Phillips screwdriver and remove the screw on the back of the unit. This holds the beauty band. This is the only screw in the entire job that is a different length than the others. Underneath the band are 4 screws. Remove them and set them aside. Before reinstalling the band, wipe the groove with a wet rag, as food gets stuck up under here easily. Now remove the cover and place it aside. Now remove the 4 screws holding down the transmission housing. If this is plastic, replace it with a metal one, as they improve the design. These 4 screws are the same length as the previous 4 that you removed, so don't worry about mixing them up. Lift up the transmission housing and inspect it. There is a gasket around the outside of the edge, and this will need to be removed. Get some type of throwaway container that you can scoop and put the old nasty grease away. The grease and gasket kit came with a plastic scooper. You can expect to pull out about a half a cup of grease as you're cleaning up the unit. Using a finger, push the attachment hub gear through the housing and pull it out. Again, like all of these items that are inside, they're going to be gross, so you need to wipe them, clean them as much as you can. I highly recommend that you do not use brake cleaner or parts cleaner that are not meant for food grade items. Make sure to get off any stubborn gasket that didn't come off. Cleaning the components will take a long time. Sacrifice Q-tips, toothbrushes, paper towels, whatever you need to get the job done. Continue to remove grease where possible. Remove the worm gear and the associated components and set it aside. We'll come back and clean that one a little bit later. Next, get your snap ring pliers and remove the snap ring. All products used throughout this installation are going to be in the video description below. Feel free to check them out. You want to make sure you get the right size snap ring pliers so it fits into the 2 holes on the snap ring. Work slowly here and be careful, as there's a lot of tension on this piece and it can fly across the room if you're not careful. With the snap ring out of the way, take your flathead screwdriver and wedge it underneath the bevel gear and lift up. Now pull the small pin holding the upper planetary shaft. You can now remove the planetary shaft by taking your mallet and tapping from above. Put your hand below to catch it as it falls. Next, remove the worm follower gear and set aside for cleaning later. With new cavities exposed, remove the grease with whichever tools you have available to use. I liked using Q-tips in hard to reach areas. Spin the motor fan as seen on the right side of this video to twist the shaft so you can expose areas that are dirty for additional cleaning. Using paper towels, I was able to wipe the housing and get it pretty clean. At least good enough for my standards. Now clean the worm gear. Remove the bearing on the front end to expose the thrust bearing. It has 3 individual components with the bearings in the middle. Make sure to note the order of the components and not to reassemble it incorrectly after you're done cleaning. Lastly, remove the rear bearing and wipe down clean and inspect for cracks. As you clean the components, look for any anomalies. Wipe them clear and inspect closely for any cracks or weird deformities that might cause problems. These components are generally not failure points, and so they should be good, but it never hurts to take a look. Now take your food grade grease and apply a thin coat around the inside of the housing. You can also apply grease to the motor shaft. Twist the fan in the back of the motor to get it to rotate, and that will allow you to evenly apply it around the spindle. Before installing the new planetary gear assembly, you got to look at the internal gear below the head of the machine to see if it has sunken, and in my case it definitely has, extending past and protruding from the black edge. So this definitely needs to be knocked back inside a little bit with a mallet and a center punch. I was able to get it to move in, but it was easier if I put the cover back on the machine and turn it upside down on the couch with a towel here to protect the couch from getting dirty, and use a center punch and strike downwards. This allowed me to get a little bit more power on each swing, which helped me push the internal gear further down. As you can see, it's already inside of the lip compared to what it was before, but it needs to go a little bit more. Run a thin layer of grease around the internal gear. With grease down below here and grease right here, you can now take the new planetary gear with the full shaft. Make sure this is right there, and we're just gonna move it from below up through, and we're gonna rotate it until it goes in. So it doesn't go in, okay. So hold it, and then while you're holding it from falling, you're gonna take this piece set it down, and then our little pin and the pin is what keeps it from falling down. For the bevel gear to fully seat, the pin and the gear below need to be aligned just correct, just like that, for the bevel gear to be able to fall down and nest in perfectly. Don't proceed until you get it to go flush just like that. Okay, next we're going to do the snap ring, and that's going to go right here. So there's that little band. So it needs to slide down there with the tool, and it needs to go and click into that little spot right there. Get your snap ring pliers and get the metal prongs to stick through the two holes. Get them completely sticking through so you can see them coming out the back end. And what that's going to allow you to do is feel confident that it's going to expand. Put it here lightly and put your finger right there so it doesn't shoot off in case it comes off. Go ahead and grip tight here. That expands it, allows you to bring it down. And it is successfully in that groove. Because that's there, this no longer can lift up. Now is a good time to go ahead and apply some more food grade grease around the different gears. As you spin the different components, whether the fan, motor blade, or the actual planetary assembly, you can get the gears to kind of work themselves together and apply and spread that grease. After having cleaned the worm gear assembly, we now go ahead and assemble it. Remember to again put it back in the right order appropriately, and as you put the different bushings back on, make sure the front and the rear are in the right order. You're now ready to install it. So the cutaway here, here, and here, and here has to be sliding in. Another opportunity to apply some more grease. Again, holding the fan of the motor, you can spin that in the back and it'll twist the gears, and you can continue to lubricate them in all the different locations. After cleaning, reinsert the attachment hub gear into the transmission housing and apply lubrication. Apply a thin to medium coating on the internal side of the transmission housing. Apply the transmission gasket at this point onto the transmission. There are 2 pins that protrude. Use those to align and then ensure that the rest of the gasket lines up with the other holes. At this point, just lower the transmission slowly down until it mates with the surface. Next, take the 4 screws and go ahead and tighten them until snug. Before reassembling everything, we can now go ahead and proceed with a test to see how everything works. With everything checking out and sounding great, it's now time to go ahead and apply the 4 screws, return the beauty band, and apply the back screw. But first, let's go ahead and wipe this area down just to get some old grime removed. While testing, I noticed the bowl wasn't sitting right and found out that I had a loose bowl retainer clip, so went ahead and took care of that with a flat-headed screwdriver. As mentioned earlier, we've linked all the items in the video description below, which, by the way, if you click on one of those links and buy something, shortly after I might get a small kickback at no cost to you. Also, there's a way to help small creators like myself via the super thanks button below the video. And lastly, it wouldn't be a video from the internet if I didn't ask you to hit the subscribe button. At least my pleading was at the end of the video, so you didn't have to sit through that before getting the information you came for. Regardless of what you may or may not do, I appreciate your time.